How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Buddy's House of Horror podcast. Happy summer, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We took a very laid-back approach to the show today. Me and my friend Midnight Miles just took some time to talk about some of the films that have come out so far in 2023 that we've watched and liked, some films that are coming out later on this year that we're looking forward to seeing, and of course, had a conversation about Resident Evil 4, something we've been waiting to talk about on the show for a long time. So I hope you guys enjoy the discussion. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to my channel wherever you're listening to the show, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. Wherever you get the show, make sure you're subscribing, hitting that like button, and leaving a review if it allows you to. And with that, we're just going to get right to the show, so now let's get spooky.
Welcome to Buddy's House of Horror. This is Midnight Miles. Not Buddy the Bruiser Candela, but he's letting me do this intro for the first time ever. Here, I should say my co-host right now.
Jesus Christ.
Who do we have here?
This is Buddy from Buddy's House of Horror. Miles, I'm taking the day off. The show's yours. Just whatever you want to talk about.
Jesus Christ. All right, kids. We're going to go into a deep dive of the Puppet Master franchise. Get ready. Put your fucking seatbelts on. Let's go.
The dude, and this is a little sidebar, since you happen to bring up Puppet Master, but 4 days ago, whatever it was the 20th anniversary of The Room, and Greg Sestero, one of the leads, is like in Puppet Master like 5 or 6, like one of the like shitty ones. Like while he was shooting The Room, he was also shooting Puppet Master 5 or 6, whichever one it was.
That's some incredible trivia you'll only get at Buddy's House of Horrors.
I cannot believe I pulled that out of my head.
That's some legit shit, man.
That's some
Seriously.
legit shit right there. Happy Independence Day, everyone. We're recording this pretty damn close to the 4th of July, so if you hear some explosions, it's simply my redneck neighbors just doing something crazy next door. The cats have been going insane, so if you hear any random cat noises, it's them reacting to the fireworks outside and other shenanigans, which may or may not happen during the course of this podcast. So, Miles, I'm glad to have you here. Glad me being along for the ride. This is your show tonight.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding. It's our show. We're just going to talk about whatever we feel like. There's no set, sort of parameters for this. We have like some bullet point stuff that we want to touch on, but this is sort of the midway point of the year, July. July 4th actually is the last major U.S. holiday until Halloween. So this is actually kicking off the Halloween season where we're going to be talking about
Labor Day.
Major holiday.
Oh yeah.
You see people, going for all the Labor Day decorations at fucking Michael's and shit. No.
I guess not. I guess
Come on, man.
That's right. At least I didn't fuck up and say Memorial Day and have all my shit all backwards. But
Halloween season starts July 5th, man. We're already getting ready, man.
When this comes out, then
it will be the Halloween season.
It's basically me Halloween, so fuck it, guys. I actually had a cup of pumpkin spice coffee today that was left over from... The cup itself wasn't left over from last Halloween, but at work, someone had ordered a new Keurig that was on sale, and there was a bunch of, like, autumn coffee left over.
Like the K-Cups?
Yes. Yeah. So I got some of that apple spice coffee, some of that pumpkin spice. I had a cup this morning, Got it. Nice to have a pumpkin spice coffee on the 3rd of July, you know what I'm saying?
We've never really talked about this. I know you're a coffee guy. Are you strictly hot, or do you dabble in the iced?
I wish the audience could have just seen
my
what
cat.
we just
Well, as I said, the cats are wigging out right now. Binky in particular, I think maybe when I had
there's a fly.
Yeah, because he's obsessed with outside. So there's always a door open in the house, and he's looking out the screen door. So now I believe he is chasing some sort of insect around my house. But it's totally fine. But iced coffee, what is your stance?
Okay, I drink probably 4 iced coffee drinks a year. Probably would be like and actually I had one on Saturday, for some reason, because I just wanted to mix it up. But it was straight iced coffee with a little bit of, cream and stuff like that. But primarily 95% of the time I'm drinking hot coffee.
So I I would not consider myself a coffee guy, but I do frequent coffee pretty often. The pumpkin cream cold brew from Starbucks, and I'm not a Starbucks guy. It's genuinely phenomenal. So you need to work that into your rotation this year at least once.
All right.
Not the
I'll
pumpkin
try.
spice, not like just like the drip coffee.
Yeah.
The pumpkin cream cold brew. It's very specific.
I feel like that'll be one of those things they advertise, correct? Probably like on the.
It's probably on the paper. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the other ones on the doors or on the the drive-through windows or whatever. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
That actually does sound. It sounds pretty good right now, to be honest. Even though it's actually the hottest it's been all day today right now. It's like 79 degrees at whatever time we were doing this right now. It was like 73 earlier, so definitely doesn't feel like Halloween's coming yet. Not yet.
You know, it's an A-tier podcast when Miles is talking about the weather. So
I mean, I'm basically the crypt keeper. If people want to know what I look like that don't know me on this podcast, just imagine the crypt keeper from HBO's Tales of the Crypt. Little shout out, little plug there. But anyways, so we're halfway through the year basically. We did say we had a couple little bullet point things, but we're gonna kind of talk about horror and like where it's been this first 6 months out of the year. Do you have anything you want to say to start that, or?
Well, I guess before we sort of like dive into horror specifically, we were kind of talking about this before, so we may as well just keep talking about it. I just went on a trip. You are going on a trip at some point
In August, yes.
which is somewhat horror related.
It will be, yes.
So
Bucket list trip this year.
it's summertime. People are talking about vacations. So I just got back from a road trip. I was gone for like 5 days. And one of the stops was in Salem, which was a huge bucket list thing for me. We were actually there the same weekend as Pride. We weren't aware of that, but it's almost as if they knew we were coming. But it was very good. It was chill. It was surprisingly not very busy, which was a good thing for Salem, because I guess if you try to go in October, it's kind of like shoulder to shoulder. Like you can't really like get into anything or do anything. So we went at like a really chill kind of time. Checked out some museums. There's so many like horror like wax museums and like, you know, kind of like tourist trappy kind of things there.
Yeah.
But there was like a good one. It was like $15 to get in. It's called like Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery.
I've seen this online.
I mean, it's pretty small, but like if you take your time in there, it's definitely worth it. I mean, they've got like in the big center of the room, like the main like showcase area, it's just a full size Alien versus Predator just like duking it out like in the middle of the room. Did you get pictures of it? There's no flash photo. There's no photos of any kind.
Wow,
photos or video of any kind.
Oh wow.
We did pick up some stuff from the gift shop in there. They had like some like original artwork from some like local artists and shit. So we got that there. Tons of wax figures, tons of history in there. There's a cinema in the movie theater. A cinema in the mall.
Yeah.
It's the mall's like movie theater, but it's also like half an indie theater.
Okay.
We didn't see anything there when we were there, but we did get some like cool pins and stuff. We have a couple gifts for you, by the way, from the cinema naturally.
Oh Jesus.
But yeah, Salem was great. I want to go back. I want to go when we have a little bit more time. It was just like one stop on a bigger like road trip scenario, so we were only there like a day and a half. But would definitely love to go back, and you should go at some point.
I'd like to go. I probably would try to do it like twice in my life, and because I've always wanted to go too, but I always would have gone probably to when it's like around this time of year, because I just figured, I mean, you're not gonna have you'll be able to actually like look around the city a little bit more and stuff like that. But then I'd also probably like to do a fall. It necessarily wouldn't even have to be. I wonder what it would be like, I guess, mid-thought as I'm changing it. Would it be like maybe like the first or second week of November? Like if there'd be, just because all the leaves in New England and maybe some stuff that would still be there.
It would probably actually look more like what you envision Halloween looks like in your head. Because like the seasons have been like all fucking off.
Yeah.
Like, because right now, I mean, now it's like summer, but we hit summer in like April here. basically.
And then it went back to spring.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, it was like, what, 82, like the end of April, and then there were weeks where it was like 55 and blowing rain or no sun to be seen, you know.
But just like in recent years, like I've found that like your picturesque, like what you assume fall or autumn looks like, you typically see that like September, October, but really it's been like November and like December has even really been like the time where it's your picturesque like autumn.
I took a train ride Halloween weekend 2021, and mind you, it was a scenic train ride. Mind you, every fucking leaf where we were was like basically still green. Just a few brown ones. You would have never known. That was the worst I've ever seen it, because then I paid attention. 2022 fall, the leaves Halloween week were like pretty decent, but for some reason, I don't know if there wasn't enough temperature drops yet, like 2021 or whatever, but it was so green. I'm like it. The train ride itself was great, and it was still fun to see some scenery, but it definitely was not the big.
It was not the vibe you were going for.
It was not as advertised, but I mean, Ohio's pretty hit or miss with the weather. You really don't know year to year exactly what you're gonna get. You know, usually by maybe end of July, you know, beginning of August, you're like, oh fuck, it is summer. Like, you're not gonna get a random 55-degree raining day. Like, it's gonna be in the 70s to high 80s. You know, if it's in the middle of January, end of January, you're probably going to have at least some snow, or it's going to be around 20 to 30 degrees. But if you're in any of those in-between months, I swear to God, it can be 3 seasons in a week. Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. But that, yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it, you know, off the podcast, about Salem, stuff like that, because I've always wanted to go. I used to have a friend that had been a few times, and she really, really enjoyed it. So I've always heard good things. But yeah, I look forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. Like, again, I'd like to go, because there's not that much to do, like, in the downtown area. Like, you could do it all in a day and a half.
Yeah.
But just with everything else we were trying to get in while we were there, like, really, you have to kind of be, like, selective of what you're going to do, because, like, how many, like, Salem Witch Trial museums are you actually going to do?
Yeah.
Like, we only did, like, one, but there's, like, 4 or 5 that you could go to. So, like, maybe next time we go, we, like, do a different one or something like that. So,
or have a whole day where you just hit depending on how much they cost or what you're into, but hit 3 museums or all the museums or something, and then plan the next day for maybe sightseeing or something, or I don't know, you know.
We went to an arcade. We thought it was like a free to play because you're in there drinking, but you had to pay for the arcade. So I was a little bit bummed about that. But we did get some good House of the Dead time in there, so nice. It was fine.
Nice. Me, as far as trips, I don't know if we talked about this on the other one, but I'm going to be going to where they filmed Friday the 13th Part 1. In August, and do the location tour, the actual like guided tour and stuff. I decided like I got the ticket like right before Christmas. That was kind of like my present to myself or whatever, because I'd worked some extra hours, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this shit. And they was like a pre-New Year's discount or whatever if you did it. So I'll be going the middle of August out to Jersey. Driving out to Jersey to do that. So
you have to like select the dates you're gonna go, or
yeah, and you have to select like it. They have May, August, and October. October, I mean, obviously, just like you said about Salem, would be ideal. But the problem is, I feel like I want to do more stuff in Ohio in October, stuff like that. You know, the only other thing about this, you're on a guided multiple-hour tour that's outdoors. May and October, you don't fucking know what kind of weather, because it's rain or shine. So what if you go and it's just you're in fucking ponchos, paid X amount of money, and it's just getting dumped on? You can't see anything, you can't take any photos, because you're just, I mean, what do you do? So I'm like, middle of August, like we said, most likely it's going to be dry as fuck. And I picked a daytime tour. You could do some of the later ones, but I mean,
he's a little too scared for that.
No, well, the thing is too, like, I really just want to be able to see the most. One of the nighttime tour packages, you get like a slightly shorter tour, but then they play Friday the 13th like in the woods for you, like
Oh,
the
really?
actual film, which would be sick. But I kind of think I want the longer tour just to really see like all the campgrounds, because it is still a working campground, but they've tried to keep things, I guess, in some areas as close as they were to how it was when they filmed it. But seems like not a lot's changed in that area, so I'm kind of excited to go back and see if I can really see what it looks like, or if I'm actually able to be like, oh, I recognize this from the film, without really struggling, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When we were on our trip, like, have you ever used like Atlas Obscura for anything?
I've just read articles, just lots of articles, but I don't think I really used it to go anywhere.
So whenever we go on a trip, we use Atlas Obscura, and we just kind of like type in the city we're going to, and it shows you like kind of like weird, like off the beaten path kind of stuff. Right. And we were like looking for something to do, and like we were driving, and I'm like just like listing off shit that we could like stop by, and like the town from Friday the 13th Part 2 was there.
Oh wow!
And I couldn't get my wife to stop there, but it was there. I was like, hey, we could. Go to the shop they went to?
Was that in?
It was like Connecticut, maybe.
Was that really where they?
Or like in between, like Massachusetts and New Jersey or something. It was like around that area. It was somewhere like on our route, like back towards Ohio.
That rules, yeah.
Yeah. But you're doing the tour. What else you doing?
I'm going to see a friend the day before that. I'm also going to take a tour of a wolf reservation, like actually like where they like rehab like wolves to go back out in the wild, but it's supposed to be huge. It's actually not too far from where the Friday the 13th tour is. So basically the goal is go see my friend. It's kind of those things that's on the way. He's a tattoo artist, probably get tattooed. Something small. I'm like killing myself. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this before I go do all this other shit.
Right, yeah.
But it's very just a small filler, so I just kind of catch up. Then I'll go do the wolf reservation tour. Probably do some like hiking and stuff like that on my own. Try to get something a little bit more like actual, like a more serious hike, depending on the time of when I get out of this. Like I'm still like, I have everything pieced together, but you know how it is, trying to figure out what exactly you're gonna do. Probably when I have some time off towards the end of the month, I'm gonna really like solidify everything.
What the plan is.
The exact. But I haven't. I mean, it's just gonna be for a few days, as we talked about off the air before this, coming back and taking an extra day or so to yourself before you go back to work.
It's
do that
absolutely
as well.
crucial. If you're taking a vacation, you got to have that 1 day buffer before you go back to work. It's essential.
Yeah, it's pretty much mandatory. If you, I don't know, like it's not like when you're in your 20s and you're like, oh, I just drank 18 beers this past couple days, and now I'm gonna go back to work at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and think I'm gonna survive.
Yeah,
but
that, and I always have a lot of like complications. Like I feel like every time I've had to go to work the next day after a trip, like the flight gets delayed or just like something like stupid happens where like you end up having to call off anyway, so you may as well just take that extra day. On the way back, I did get a flat tire.
Oh no.
But luckily, whatever random shop I happened to get the flat tire right next to a place that fixes tires.
That's insane.
So $20 an hour of my time, and I was out and back on the road, so it was cool.
That's great. Yeah, it's actually great news, because I fucking flat tires. Oh, it's horrible.
I was a nervous wreck for about like 20 minutes, but luckily they didn't have to change the whole tire. They were able to patch it. But.
Good. Yeah, I know it's hit or miss with tires nowadays. Seriously, it sucks. They're like, oh, you need a new $200 tire. It's like, okay, let me go suck some dick on the corner or something to make the money. You don't have to edit that out. It's fine. Everyone knows. But yeah, summer. We're actually, the nice thing about this podcast is sometimes we're recording something and we have to just kind of like not say maybe when we're recording it. Maybe we pretend it's
sometimes sometimes there's just a little bit of kayfabe going on.
Yeah, we kind of like, oh, it's the spooky season's coming up. It's like fucking 95 degrees outside. Like it's like, we're drinking fucking, I don't even know, gallons of water, sweating our asses off trying to record something. But yeah, midway through the year. I'm glad that you had a good trip. I'm excited to go on my trip. Hopefully I don't get killed by Jason Voorhees, you know?
Hopefully. I haven't been to the drive-in yet this year, and that bums me out, but hopefully soon, because there's some new releases that I want to see, one of which actually comes out later this week. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's out. But I have seen a couple horror films this year that are new releases. I've rewatched some old classics, stuff that I've been wanting to rewatch for years. Thank you for jogging my memory on a lot of films that I was like, oh shit, I should go rewatch that.
Have you rewatched the ones we talked about since? No.
I can't. Which ones we talk about?
Howling. I know you didn't do Poltergeist, but you did think about like Howling, and you did think about Night of the Demons. I think you thought maybe.
No, I did rewatch Night of the Demons.
Really?
I sure did.
What'd you think this time around?
It was good.
It's good. It's good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually like
not as good as the one I watched immediately following it, which was Return of the Living Dead. Not that good.
Masterpiece.
But it was pretty good.
I actually should. Every time I think about it, I saw that you put that on your Letterboxd. Every time I think about that, I feel like, because it is one of my favorite films and it's a go-to. It's on that small go-to list I have of like hanging out with people. I'm like, watch this. But I feel like I need to bump it up that extra half star because it deserves it. And
the biggest detriment to me, and it's probably part of the reason why you love this, because you do this constantly, they repeat themselves so much in that film. Like
all our brains are fried. I don't know what to say.
They're like putting the body in the fucking incinerator. They're like, they're gonna burn this up, right? This is gonna burn up, right? Like they're saying the same thing for like 5 minutes. I'm just like, cat. It was like, this is Miles' masterpiece now.
Maybe they have OCD like me, bro. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
No comment there.
I feel like it's like a day by day, situation by situation of how much I probably repeat myself. I just like to have certainty. You know what I mean? I like to be certain in certain things in my life. If you know what I'm saying.
He likes to be certain about certain things in his life. Certainly. Thank you. Did you think you could put? Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I want to know what you have to say because what I said, I can say at any point.
Man, we're really live here, guys. But anyways, do you think you've seen enough horror films this year to do like a top 3, like your top 3 favorites so far in the first 6 months?
See, because that's what I was gonna lead into. That's what. See, we're thinking alike because that's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
I've seen less than 10 films in theaters this year, and not all of them have been horror films. Mm-hmm. Out of the ones that I've liked, I've pretty much talked about them on other shows.
Okay.
So I'll try not to repeat myself too much in this, but there's only like 3 horror films this year that I saw so far that I can actively say that I like really enjoyed. Okay. There were some that were like middle of the road. There were some that I did not like. I finally watched. It's not a true horror film. It has some horrific quote unquote elements. I finally watched Cocaine Bear the other day.
Thank God.
Cat is so fucking bad, dude.
In the best ways possible.
Is in the laziest way possible.
It's entertaining.
God.
I like it.
Of course you would.
Someone gave it a ridiculously good score. Oh, I'm only on horror films. I guess I'll go back. I was on my of course we're on, it wouldn't be a Buddy's House of Horror podcast if we weren't on Letterboxd.
If we're not scrolling
at least once during the podcast. Going to our Cocaine Bear scores. Your boy Aldel Pryor gave it 4 stars.
For Cocaine Bear.
Yes, sir.
Did he review it too?
Yes. He said
what's he
the
gotta
CGI
say?
was questionable, but the performances were inconsistent, and there was a lot of content that didn't need to exist in this movie. But this is the most fun I've had watching a movie maybe ever. Strong praise, bro.
I strongly disagree with you. I don't know.
I actually thought...
I didn't think it was that funny. I didn't think it was that gory. Like...
Are you kidding me?
There's
Some
so
of the gore
many...
is insane in it.
It's just hard, because, like, obviously it's low budget. But, like, it's very... It takes you out of it when it's, like, obviously, like, okay, we're intentionally not showing the bear here. When it's like dragging him like through the grass, but like you don't see anything. It's just kind of like there's just so many moments where it like takes you out of it. I guess I don't know.
I feel like for me there was some of the gore scenes I was legitimately crying and like the whole sequence of like the paramedics. Return of the Living Dead. Speaking of paramedics, but paramedics showed up and they go to like that. Like we're spoiling, by the way, everyone. If you don't, whatever, skip ahead now if you don't want to spoil. But they show up and there's the people in there. They're in need of assistance, the park rangers and shit. From that whole sequence on, where like the woman's face gets scraped on the pavement and all the things and limbs and the bear running, I was losing my fucking mind during that point. I think maybe my sense of humor, if there's just some sort of insanely unrealistic gory sequence, I'm gonna be screaming laughing. That will pop me every time. It did with another 2023 release with Renfield, which I know maybe we'll talk about in a minute, but I don't know, seeing people's limbs get ripped off their bodies or people's faces smashing across concrete, this sounds so bad, Animal listening, but I think you get it. I'm laughing in the face of death, and the way that it's done is just so fucking funny to me. The jokes in this were hit or miss, but there were some that really hit for me. But I also thought the cast overall was like very endearing. Like I actually liked the way that the cast interacted, because the problem with a lot of films like this is the cast is either the worst actors of all time, the dialogue is the worst of all time, or they're too much of like a caricature of like a stereotype. Like they have like it's like the bimbo, the jock, you know what I mean? So it's fodder. I mean, it's beyond. They don't even try to have any relationships or any interaction. It's just fucking straight up fodder for a cocaine bear, a mondo shark, or whatever the fuck it is. But anyways, continue. Go ahead.
I don't know. I felt it was like even like too tame. Like I felt like if you were gonna go absolutely insane, like go fucking balls to the wall insane. Like it felt like it was a little bit gory, but just the whole film as a piece came off very like PG-13 in a way. Like it wasn't very like, I don't know.
Do you think maybe in your ripe age we're starting to get desensitized?
I mean, it's possible.
I'm only asking because sometimes I question that myself with certain things. It's like, my God, why didn't a bear come out, fucking swing intestines around like a fucking bull rope, and then fuck another thing to death or something? Then you just listen to yourself. You're like, God damn, man.
You're like, damn, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucked up. Maybe I should calm down a little bit. Maybe I should watch some fucking, speaking of the director, Elizabeth Banks, maybe I should watch some more of her comedies or go watch The Notebook or something to bring myself back down to earth. I'm going to touch back on The Notebook later in this podcast. But anyways, continue. What else did you...
So out of the films that I liked, because there were 3 films that I was like, okay, this is a film that
you'll watch again,
really stuck with me. Watched again. One of which I talked about to death, Skinamarink. Mm-hmm. The other one, Scream 6, which I don't know how we didn't do a full podcast of that when it came out, but for some reason we didn't. And then the other one, as you alluded to, is Renfield.
Yeah.
Which again, like I thought they could have gone a little bit more insane with it, but then that's probably me being desensitized because someone got both their arms ripped off.
Another guy gets his like they zoom in and go into X-ray mode. His spine gets broken. He shits his pants all over the place. I mean, there's just scenes where so many people are being dismembered in Renfield. Or their arms are just exploding with blood shooting everywhere.
And ironically, to bring this back earlier, I was in New Orleans when they were shooting Renfield.
Oh, wow.
So somewhere Nick Cage was Dracula when I was on Bourbon Street.
That's incredible.
We visited his grave, actually. He was not at his grave when we were there. But
that would have been insane if he would have been... Imagine just walking by and he was in, like, the, like... Dracula makeup that's in the beginning of the film. Yeah, it'd be fucking... which, honestly, I thought that look was incredible. The practical effects they did on him for that, I thought it was... When the film started, and it wasn't... The thing I liked about that was it wasn't, like, shown in the trailers at all. So you're just like, oh, this is fucking... What else are they going to do? What else are they going to show me, you know? But... I thought Renfield. I can understand the issues with Cocaine Bear. I can, but I thought I've said this in podcasts with you and you privately before. But this year so far has just been very fun. I've had a great time at the theaters. Even when the stuff's bad, it's fun bad. Like we saw the Winnie the Pooh film, which we talked about a little bit on stuff. I know that's actually your number one. Honestly, let's be real. The Winnie the Pooh slasher film is probably the number one film for Buddy's House of Horrors for 2023. What do you think?
It's so lazy. It has the same problems I have with Cocaine Bear. It's just like, bro, like...
Well, Winnie the Pooh, to be fair, it's bad. I mean, that's my lowest ranked movie this year, like in general. But like, mostly it's because the way that they did like the stalking intention scenes where it's like no person would ever act like that. Like when they're like chasing them around the pool. Or that one of them is getting slowly walking in the pool, or some of these scenes. But, anyways, I'm sorry, I cut you off on that. But go ahead, the Winnie the Pooh.
I mean, I don't have much else to say. Like, I would have liked it better if they did like a true like parody or a true something that was like respectful to the characters. Because literally, it's just like, okay, this guy is wearing a Pooh outfit and he's killing people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had nothing to. I mean, like they kind of tried to tie it into like the lore, but at the end of the day, it's just like, okay. This could have been just, like, any person in a house killing people. Like, it didn't have to be, I don't know.
Yeah. It just so happened that they actually put that whole...
They put a little bit of backstory in.
A little bit of backstory.
But...
For me, I don't have any strong ties to Winnie the Pooh. I've seen some of the stuff when I was a kid. But, like, I don't know everything about it. I mean, they didn't have any of the... What was the only one extended character they had? The pit.
Well, they had Eeyore in it. Eeyore. They had Piglet, and like Rabbit and Owl were like in the intro and stuff. The problem is they couldn't put Tigger in it because he's not public domain yet. Like he doesn't enter public domain for like a few years. But like, I don't know. They could have done something to like, I don't know. Make it a true parody instead of just like, okay, this is just a slasher.
Apparently they're doing that sequel. Apparently it's already on Letterboxd that they are making a sequel to it.
Yeah, they are.
So we'll
Well, I would assume it's coinciding with Tigger entering the public domain, so he'll probably be in the next one.
God, that would be incredible for them. Maybe.
Hey, I'm rooting for him. I hope it's good. Like, I'm not like being like, oh, it sucks. Like, never make a film again. Like, do it, but do it well.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I gotta say, it's just like watching a fucking train wreck. Like, I know that I'm gonna see whenever they make the second one and release it in theaters or on demand. I'm gonna watch it. I'm just being honest. So they got my money already. But Scream 6. I mean, we've talked about the Scream on a couple of the other podcasts and stuff. But I obviously really enjoyed Scream 6. I know that we joke that the Scream series isn't my favorite series or anything like that on some of these, which is true, but I still really like the Scream films. I mean, I want to go back and revisit 2 through 4 because it's been a really long time. I've seen 1 quite a bit, but
I haven't seen 3 or 4 in probably since around they came out.
Really?
Like around, I haven't rewatched. The only ones I've ever rewatched are 1 and 2.
3. Well, I was a child when 3 came out. So were you? Well, I was a little bit older, but how old were you when you saw those? Or probably after, maybe. I don't know, VHS or DVD or whatever.
Scream 4 came out like what, 2011?
Well, Scream 4, we were all I was in college. Yeah, I watched Scream 4. I haven't seen Scream 4.
Honestly, I probably didn't see Scream 3 when it came out. Like I saw Scream 3 when I was like binge watching every horror film on the planet.
Yeah, I watched Scream 3 at a marathon at someone's house before I watched Scream 4. I rewatched all 3 of them back to back.
One thing I don't like about Scream 6, and we haven't talked about this because we haven't really devoted a whole podcast to Scream 6 on the show. I do not like how on the whiteboard in the police office they give away every single killer from every single other film.
Yeah.
Which, when you're doing like these soft reboot requels or whatever, it's like, all right, well, just fuck everyone that hasn't seen all the original
That was
films.
probably the biggest fuck you of any franchise. Like, in regards to, like, yeah, if you didn't see this already, you're a fucking idiot. The internet exists. Like, fuck you. Like, basically, you know, like, yeah, they definitely just didn't care at that point. Scream 6 was good. The couple of the like people that I actually like respect their opinions or things like little like quips and things like just like how the killers have it all together. Like the new like the big thing is ever since the originals, like the killers have it all together, like calm and collected, going throughout their plot, and then it gets to the reveal, and they're just crazy madmans, can't keep being in control. You know, it's like all very like similar formula of how they actually like act, like the acting aspect and the storytelling aspect of it. It works in a lot of these, but that is something that somebody had pointed out when I was listening about Scream 6, and I was like, that's true. They all kind of have that. I'm fucking zany. I'm fucking unhinged now. Even though they've put some master plot together that's taken probably a year of their life to even formulate all the missing and moving pieces. But but I love 6. It's weird that it's not like 2 separate trilogies. There's that oddball of 4 in the middle, because now they're gonna probably make this a trilogy, but it's gonna be the 7th film. They haven't announced it yet, though. I don't think, right?
They haven't announced it, but I can pretty much guarantee it's gonna happen. The only other thing in this film that threw me off is the main detective guy was in Friends, and Courtney Cox was also in Friends. So I was just thinking about Friends the entire time I'm watching this film. But other than that, I thought it was great. I think I've said it before. I haven't rewatched all of them, but right now I'd have it either my second or third, like, in the franchise. I thought it was better than Scream 5, like, for sure.
I rewatched 5 a couple days before I went and saw 6, and I can agree that 6 is better than 5. And I didn't notice it the first time I watched 5 when I saw it in theaters, but the main actress, and I guess now I've seen after the fact, she did get some shit online apparently about it, but the main like lead of the 2 sisters, like, God, her delivery and acting was so flat and bad. Rewatching 5, and everyone else was like on point. It was just like really threw me off watching it. Like, it didn't not so bad where it ruined everything, but I definitely feel like she came across as like more natural and more of an actual lead in Scream 6. I know that's weird. I mean, I'm just nitpicking, but it's something that was like I beyond noticed it rewatching it, where it like bugged me. But 5's still really good. 6 is good. I'm curious to see what they do to maybe end the 2 sisters character arc, or maybe you can't ever say this in a horror franchise, say end the franchise, because in another 10 years some motherfucker is going to make Scream 8 or Scream Reboot or
I mean, because Scream is like the one franchise where it's like, okay, if you kill off the killer, it's okay, you just have a new one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like Michael Myers is coming back after Halloween ends. Like, there's no way out of that. Like, with Scream, you can kind of just keep it going, like, endlessly if you wanted to.
Be like, oh, the former killer killed my sister. It made me crazy. Now I'm the fucking killer. It's all they have to do is some weird slight connective tissue, and
well, because even at the beginning of 6, like the kind of like fake out whatever, like wasn't it just a couple like fans of the film or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, you could even do something like that. Like, it doesn't even, you don't necessarily have to have it tied to your like lead characters. Like, you could do like, oh, we're in fucking Europe now or wherever, and just like, oh, I really liked the Stab movies. Like, like you could just do something completely different.
That fake out in the beginning I thought was excellent, and one thing that was hinted at a few times in the film, which I thought would have been a cool kind of subplot or story plot, if there was like a cult of killers that were like obsessed. Like, I think that would have been something different that they could have done. And that's not just, it's something I thought of while I was watching it, but it's also not a completely original idea, because I've heard other people, again, talk about it online after the fact. So I think a lot of us were into the same mindset that, maybe there's fucking 5, 6, like, these weird, like, fan killers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I thought that opening was great, by the way. I mean, really, I know that they always usually have strong openings, but honestly, for me, really like that opening.
It was a solid opening, for sure.
But, we talked about Renfield a little bit.
Is that in one of your top 3 of the year?
Renfield?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I've seen a lot.
He's seen a lot.
If I go to just the thing is that I hate about Letterboxd is if it was ever at like one film festival,
even though it drops it like all the way
2022.
Yeah.
Even though if you Google it, that's like official release, it'll literally say 2023. So it kind of throws some shit off. But I mean, I've seen, if I'm being honest, if I just look here, I've probably seen like 25 or so films that have come out this year.
The Legend.
I had that movie pass, so I mean, I'm trying to hit it when I can. I saw Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny the other night, so I was
headbanging.
I was pretty happy on that, but Infinity Pool is up there for me for the year. I mean, I know you probably haven't seen that yet.
I still haven't seen it.
That's kind of those ones where it's like, it's kind of like it's horror, but it's a thriller, but
weird art house shit.
Yeah, it's but there's definitely horror elements in it. Probably my favorite genre is something if it's like that mixes, like if I can get a film that like seemingly blends 2 or 3 genres in a good way, especially if horror is one of them.
Yeah.
I'm usually on board for that. Like I don't need my shit to be cut and dry. Like I think you can have a great film that has some excellent action sequences that still has some horrific moments or horror imagery or stuff like that. It is nice when there's, let's say, a new one from 2023, like The Boogeyman, the Stephen King one, inspired one. That is pretty much a straight-up horror film. Cut and dry. There's not a lot of dumb comedy. There's some smart and funny lines in it. You haven't seen that, have you?
I haven't seen it yet, no. That's on my list, though.
It's not, it feels like stuff that would have come out in, like, maybe 2002, 2003, like, around when The Ring came out or something, but in a good way. Like, the story's good. You feel like you've seen it before, but it's just done well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good tension, good stuff. It's not a long, how long it's like an hour and a half? 99 minutes, so it hits that sweet spot, It's not a 2.5 hour film in theaters. I did one of my ones that'd probably be a top 3 pick, and this is where The Notebook ties in. So last week I went to the theaters 2 nights in a row. Both nights the films were over 2.5 hours long. So with trailers, I was in the theater for 6 hours over the course of 2 nights. And that was a little rough. But I saw the new release, God is a Bullet, which is based on a novel. And it's actually from the director who directed The Notebook.
Okay.
But he actually, the director, which I didn't know this, his dad is that one famous director from the 70s, and he's also kind of like a cult like actor from the 70s and 80s who just got into doing like big budget shit. But God is a Bullet. It has how do you say her name? Is it Mika Moreau? The one from It Follows, the girl.
Oh, I don't know how to say it.
Jamie Foxx is in it. It's got the one dude from Game of Thrones that I love. He's like the main lead. But probably the most divisive film of the year, because look at these Letterboxd scores. They're literally all the way across the board.
Yeah, I'm on it right now. You're the only person on my Letterboxd who's watched it, though.
Okay, well, it's very limited release. Like, it was only... Okay, another thing about 2023, while we're on the topic, I know I'm getting a little off, but this year has been horrible for people dumping 5 or 6 films into theaters on a weekend, and also against big budget films.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, how are these supposed to make? Cleveland the other week got like 10 new releases. How is anyone expect to make any money? Like, when you're releasing something like this, the same, the week when you got The Boogeyman in theaters, you have Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got Spider-Man,
Indiana Jones, Guardians
the week
of the
before
Galaxy.
Indiana Jones, and now stuff like that. I mean, the average person, especially right now when things are tight, they're not going to take a chance on an indie feature or something like that. If you release this in, let's say, the middle of September when summer was winding down, just like some of the other stuff I've seen this year, I mean, people would be like the average guy, because I think this is God is a Bullet is definitely a fan of like 70s revenge exploitation films and action films and stuff like that. So there's a market out there. You know, maybe the middle-aged man who watched a lot of that shit growing up, or let's say even just Stallone films or shit like that from the 80s. If they see a trailer like this, you know, maybe they're like, maybe that's maybe more up my alley than seeing this and that. But if their family wants to go see Transformers or this or that, they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. But God is a Bullet was probably the next to Infinity Pool, one of those interesting watches of the year for myself. Basically, it's classic, like noir, pulpy. It's real pulpy, which I think a lot of people too, they gave it low scores. They don't understand where it's coming from, because films like this don't get made. They're like, why is this guy, you know, fucking speaking in riddles, and he's at the hotel smoking cigarettes and having a monologue, you know, and all this. It's just that,
like that's the genre.
Yeah, like
that's what it is.
People that watched it, especially modern audiences, especially people that don't know film, they don't have any fucking idea like why these people are the way they are. Like the damsel in distress, but she's also kind of rough around the edges, maybe has a, you know, a backstory. There's, you know, gang involvement. There's a satanic cult. It's, you know, satanic cult. The big thing of this is, there's a detective. His daughter gets kidnapped by a satanic cult. There's some ritualistic murders and stuff like that. Basically, he goes on a deep dive, getting into this culture with one of the former cult members to try to find his daughter to see if she's still alive. So you know me already. It does sound...
That's right. That's miles for sure.
Yeah, so I will say, talk about gory. This film is gory. I mean, there's head explosions. There's people getting their faces shot to bits, like literally shot to bits on screen. There's a couple, and I'm not going to spoil it, and I don't even really want to talk about it on the air, but there's a couple scenes that, like, this is based from a book too, and like I said, some of the kidnapping and some of the things, there's some like pretty like
intense
gut-wrenching stuff. Like it's not like, it's like there are a couple times I was like, man, I don't want to see this, and they cut away at the right moment. Like they knew it was kind of like stuff like that. But I do love a good revenge flick that gets you pissed off, makes you really feel for the characters. It was a little over 2.5 hours. People complained about the length. What I felt like when I was watching it, I felt like I was watching an HBO miniseries, just binging it in a theater.
Once,
because the character progression and the way the story went, I'm like, oh, I feel like I just watched 5 half-hour episodes because of how the characters changed, the setting changed. It also was like a road film too. They're on the road a lot of it, so it was like road film, revenge film, horror, cult, you know, crime film. I mean, it kind of hit like all the genres. So for me, really liked God is a Bullet. I think you would really like it. I wanted to give it a higher score than I even did, but I will say probably why it also feels like a TV show in the beginning. The first probably 45 minutes is rough. Like there's some like weird delivery, weird acting. It feels almost like they didn't have it all together, and then about an hour and 15 in, all of a sudden for the second half, acting's clicking, action's clicking, character, it's weird. It was like I was like, damn, you know, like, and then the whole climax is just fucking phenomenal. Ending's phenomenal. I loved it. The Letterboxd reviews are fucking hilarious, but there were a lot of people that gave it 4 stars, and people gave it 4.5, 5 stars in there, like multiple ones. So it's, I've never seen, probably, like I said, the most divisive film of the year. I've never seen so many 1-star to 5-star reviews in the same thing. I just think I don't think this is a film that mainstream audiences in 2023 are going to understand because of what the director was going for, and based off of, like I said, basically a neo-noir novel. I mean, these themes just aren't common enough in modern cinema.
Right.
But anyways, I had to geek a little. But that was like one of my two. I'd say God is a Bullet. I didn't talk too much about Infinity Pool, but I mean, I feel like there were a lot of trailers at the beginning of the year for that. I mean, rich couple on a private island. They go to leave, you know, where they are, and all hell kind of ensues after that. I don't want to give away. Can't really say much more than that. You haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, no.
Some shit happens, and it's not what you think, and then a lot of shit happens. No, it's very vague, but I really like. I don't want to say too much because I think that the stuff that hasn't been spoiled in the trailer did a good job of not spoiling it.
Yeah.
You need to see it. So I mean, Infinity Pool and Gods of Bull were probably some of the most entertained I was. That wasn't like horror comedy gory like Cocaine Bear, Winnie the Pooh, Renfield, or middle of the road like straight up horror like Scream 6 or something. Do you have any, what was...
Miles is just giving me my future watch list. Is what's happening right now.
Hey, I mean, that's why. But then again, like how we did the last podcast, you brought up stuff like now I really want to rewatch Wicker Man because it has been a while, and also watch it by myself because like I said, I think I've only done that when I was like young.
Yeah.
Probably half a lifetime ago. In all honesty. So.
Yeah. So you got a third one? I need to get to the theater. So you tell me what I need to see next because you've seen 25. Like Jesus, I don't even know if I've left my house 25 times this year.
Well, all right. One thing. Let's take a quick note, because we've talked about this on other podcasts, but Evil Dead Rise did come out. I think did we talk about very much on one? I don't know if we did we?
I don't know if we really talked about it.
But
I was underwhelmed.
I liked it more than most people, but I think I'll admit I probably gave it an extra half star for some of the gore and the effects. I think that I understand why they were going to put it on HBO Max first, because honestly it feels more like, I don't want to say
it kind of
like
had
a TV
a straight
show.
It had a straight to video kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. I liked what was on the screen, but I wanted more constantly.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about the film of the year that I wanted a lot more from,
Evil Dead Rise.
It was Evil Dead Rise. I gave it 3.5. I know a lot of people I know gave it 2 to 3 stars. I could see giving it 3 stars. I thought the performances were good. I thought what they presented was good, but it just wasn't enough overall. They had that whole great plot with the fucking, the apartment complex and all that stuff, and they stayed on 2 floors the entire film.
They didn't utilize the location very well.
But speaking of HBO Max, it's on there now. If anyone wants to watch it that hasn't seen it, it's a good one-time watch, or whatever. Could throw it on. I mean, one that I watched. I think this did come out last year. Did Sick come out last year?
I think that was last year.
That was I was blown away by that.
Also, looking at your Letterboxd, I'm glad you finally watched Host.
I did, yeah. Well, because the guy did Boogeyman.
Oh, did
and
he?
I really want to see Dashcam because I didn't realize that was the same guy. So now I'm trying to watch all of his stuff.
Gotcha.
Because Dashcam was supposed to be incredible. So yeah, I did see Host. I think why I didn't give Host a better score was because it's only an hour-long film, and I thought the first half hour was very basic, and the second half was like pretty good. I think if it would have balanced a little better, I would have given it a higher score probably. But I enjoyed the idea, and I enjoyed what it was.
I just think I can't remember the exact release date, but it felt like we had just locked down for COVID or whatever, and then this movie came out a month later. It was like they fucking blasted through that.
Wasn't it made April 2020? It was made
it was made
pandemic.
It was made right at the beginning too. So it's shit. They did that probably a week or two.
I really liked. This isn't technically horror, but it's gore. I mean, probably my highest rated film, because I was screaming at the screen, was that Sisu film I showed you. I mean, when you see a man throw a landmine onto another man's face and it explodes his whole head, I don't know. I live for that shit. I mean, that's what I like to see. I liked Skinamarink. I did. I think I'm a little in between where everyone else was. I mean, I think the atmosphere, everything. I mean, I know you did the review of it and stuff like that. I thought it was really good. I'd like to watch it again. I watched half of it with Gil and Davis and Shelby. Shelby had seen it in theaters with me, but Gil and Davis weren't the biggest fans, basically. I think the problem is I didn't want to watch it with multiple people. I left halfway through. I don't think it's a film to watch with multiple people. I just unless you're in a theater and everyone shuts the fuck up. I just don't think. Yeah. I think it completely takes you out of the experience. But trying to think. I did really like Boo is Afraid, even though it's not horror. There's some very horrifying moments in that. I'd like to watch that 2 more times before I could probably even really talk about it, because there's so much to digest.
Miles just needs another 5 hours with the film, and then he's ready to go.
It's horrifying. I want to say some things that happened during the film, but I want you to be legitimately shocked, because there's some... Are you going to watch it?
I want to watch it eventually. It's not something I'm, like, rushing to go see, otherwise I would have saw it in theaters. I don't... Just 2.5 hours, I'm just like, bro,
no, I think
like...
it's 3.
Is it 3?
Let's look at the... 179 minutes.
Miles needs 6 more hours with this film.
It's insane, man. Again, we got some people in here that gave it. I have...
Did Aldo Pryor watch this film, and what did he rate it?
Al gave it 4 stars. He said, honestly, I'm not even sure where to begin. Which is fair. I mean, that's honestly a fair... But again, reviews are all over the place. One guy that I like, Restricted VR, he actually owns a clothing company. He has good shit, by the way. He gave it 5 stars. But then I had someone right next to give it 2 stars. So it's like, again, it's another...
Divisive film.
Yes. But to be fair... Dan Kinham gave it 3.5 stars, and he doesn't give a lot. So I mean, you know what I mean? It's
that makes me skeptical. That makes me think I won't like it, because I always rate stuff high, and then Dan gave it like a star.
You want to know the funniest rating? And I know that you haven't seen this, and this is off topic, but it's on Letterboxd topic. Jared gave the original Blade Runner 1 star, and I found that the other day. I honestly just went and like opened my window and just gonna throw my entire apartment out the window, because I couldn't even believe. I like literally looked at it and then I like refreshed it twice to make sure it wasn't like an actual error, because everyone else next is like 4 to 5 stars, and there's just a random 1 star there, and I'm like Joel and Dan are rubbing off on him too much, because Jesus Christ.
Hold on, he watched this recently?
No.
Okay.
But I think he did watch it within the last 5 years or less. But I know you still have to watch Blade Runner. We talked about that in the one podcast, I think, with things you still have to watch, right?
I think so. I've not seen Blade Runner, but I don't know
said
if we talked about it
I want to watch Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 with you, because they're both in my top 100 films. I think they're great. But I don't know. But like, to me, there's some things that require a 1 to 1.5 star, but to be honest, they're very few and far in between. And not a Ridley Scott film. I mean, even at his worst. I mean, or you know, I mean, just I don't know. I'm like my throat's swelling up right now. Like I'm like completely shook to the core that someone even rated it that. Like, I'm just like trying to hold it together. I'm just like, well, 1 star. There's just some things that are just. I don't know.
I'm in disbelief. I have to go check.
All of them have like 1 or 2 things that I'm like...
Literally everyone on my Letterboxd, 4 to 5 stars. Where's Jared? Jared, 1 star. It's just hilarious to look at this image where everything is like 5 stars, a bunch of hearts across the board, and then Jared's 1 star.
I just don't... To be fair, I really don't think Jared likes science fiction. I mean, it's science fiction at its best, but it's also like, I'd say, I hate to use the word elevated, but people use that now. Like, elevated science fiction thriller.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even if something's not my complete cup of tea, I know when something's not. Like, if you would have given it 2.5 stars, I'd have been like, I don't agree, but I mean, at least
it makes more sense.
Yeah, like 1 star to me is like...
1 star to me is like it's not competently made.
No, exactly.
Like,
yeah, it's not made. It's like, if something is at least shot well and it's a coherent film, even if it's like piss, like it's probably a 1.5 star to 2 star film, and that's being, you know, I gave Winnie the Pooh 2 stars. It's probably more generous than it needed to be.
That's the most generous rating I've ever heard.
I'd have to look. I don't even want to. I'll get sucked into the Winnie the Pooh letterbox, and I'll fucking never be done with it. But that was my funny catch. I always find one funny catch, like rating a film or looking at like an actor's things, and I see stuff, and I'm just like, 1 star.
Whenever we do a brain damage show again with Jared, because we did an episode a while back, where we basically just went on Letterboxd and roasted each other's
Wasn't
scores.
I there? Yeah.
You were not there for this because it was me and Jared over Zoom, like a while ago.
Oh, okay.
But we should do it again, and you have to bring up the Blade Runner thing.
It's just, come on, man. Like I just, like I just don't. I'm just like, how? Like I have Jeepers Creepers Reborn at 1.5 stars, probably my lowest rated film of 2022. You're telling me someone thinks that Blade Runner is a half star below Jeepers Creepers Reborn? I don't know how I can sleep. I don't know how I can be able to sleep tonight after that. But anyways,
holy shit.
I'll put for sake of other conversations and topic. Boo is Afraid has some horrifying moments. I will put like, as far as like most interesting watches, my top 3 for right now, at least horror, like horror adjacent.
Yeah.
I'll probably do, like I said, I'm cheating a little, but a Letterboxd even considered God as a Bullet a horror film. So there's so many genres in it, but like when I looked up just specifically horror.
Yeah.
So I'll put Infinity Pool, God is a Bullet, Boo's Afraid. If you need to go with more traditional horror, I'd say a good double feature if you want something new, Scream 6 and Boogeyman. I think that's a great one that won't take 4.5 fucking 6 hours to watch everything together. But for you, if you want to see something on a filmmaking and like an interesting story, I'd say Infinity Pool, Boo's Afraid, and God is a Bullet. But anyways,
I'm probably taking myself to the theater this weekend. My wife will be out of town.
Good, there you go.
Because Insidious, the Red Door.
The Red Door, Yeah, Red Door, yeah.
I can't wait. Big fan of the franchise. Not so much of the 4th film, but the first 3 I think are incredible.
The 4th film was a fun Monster of the Week film, I feel like.
I like the way it tied into the original, but just like overall, like most of it, I was just kind of bored. But I love the franchise. So excited for that to come back. We recorded basically an entire podcast and we didn't talk about Resident Evil 4 at all. So we're probably going to have to do that on its own show again.
We got a little bit of time. I don't know. What do you think? I thought about bringing it up. I mean, or what are you thinking, buddy? You tell me. You're the host of this damn thing.
I don't know how much we have to say about it, though, is the thing. So, I mean, we could blast through it real quick, or we could...
Let's spend a few minutes with it real quick.
Okay. Resident Evil 4. I've beaten it twice already.
I've beaten it twice.
I haven't been inclined to do it a 3rd time. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I need to take a little bit of a break from it. It has been a while since I replayed it. Played Mercenaries a little bit, but I'm less incentivized to kind of do something like that when there's no trophies involved at all. Like, had there been some sort of reward to doing it, I may have wanted to do it a little bit more. I think the game's incredible, though.
I also think the game's incredible. I was gonna go in like a bigger. I like to go.
He pauses.
I like to go and.
I was like, did Miles not like Resident Evil 4?
No, I guess now we're kind of opening up the floor to talking about it. My biggest thing when this game was coming out was, is this game necessary? Like, in regards, and I think some people thought that way too. I don't think I'm alone because.
Well, Jared feels the same way.
The original 4 is in my top 10 favorite games of all time. I love the way it looks because it has that weird hazy, almost like a haze over the game. Like, it looks different to me than any other game that tried to emulate it that came after and any game that looked before. Like, it just has a weird, otherworldly, almost like that, like, gothic folk horror type thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't look cleaned up. This game took, let's say the biggest problem with Resident Evil 4 is, obviously with time, is they couldn't expand on what they wanted to do to the level that they wanted to go, I'm sure, because of the limitations at the time. Even though the game was groundbreaking when it came out at the time, as far as
the technology, the graphics were like top of the line, everything.
But maybe we'll just kind of go everywhere with the game now. But like in this game, they expanded on whole areas in a way that were very fulfilling, and to me made it worth playing the game and justified remaking the game. A game that's not even 20 years old yet. Like the lake, for example. All the exploration of the lake and all that. the expanded stuff in the castle. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I mean, they really took the core elements of it and expanded it on a way that honored honored the original, but also just amplified everything up. So as soon as I started it, I'm like, all right, I'm on board. You know, my only gripe with anything is the fact that, and this is probably coming from an era when video games were changing so rapidly, that they remade 2, 3, and 4. They all have the same menus. They all have the same graphics in regards to like the looks, character models, and stuff. So I feel like, as weird as this is to say, it lost a little of the individuality or strangeness of the game to me, because it looks like a complete continuation from 2 to 3 to 4 in regards to like graphics, the menus, the game. And this is just like me being a mega Resident Evil fan, like nitpicking. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but it's just like, I don't know. I like identity. I like when things have their own separate identities. Does this make sense? Am I making sense with it?
You're making sense. I guess like in comparison to the 2 remake, because I have played a little bit. I'm playing Jill's story on the 2 remake. Just going from
Claire's story.
Claire's story. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I had to correct you there. We had to,
yeah.
Don't want our fans to think we're noobs. Anyways, but
going from 4 back to that, it's the gameplay has improved just from those remakes.
I agree. I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
Like just the way like switching your weapons, just like the menus, just like everything is just like refined. Like even taking it, obviously it's a huge step above the original Resident Evil 4 in terms of how you're actually playing the game, but even just in the past few years, just how they were able to refine what they've been doing with each generation. So
I mean, I thought Resident Evil 3, the remake, even though a lot of people complained it was too short, too this and that, I thought the gameplay itself was smoother than 2, even a year and a half, 2 years later.
Because I haven't played the 3 remake. Yeah.
But I need to go back, and I've said on other podcasts or video game ones and stuff like that, that I need to go back and replay 2 because it came out kind of like a weird, rough time for my life. And that was actually when I finished 4 the second time. I was teetering, should I go back and do 2? But I finished the game twice. I wanted to do a hardcore run because I beat it on the standard mode and then assisted to try to basically just pick up the trophies, upgrade the weapons, just kind of have some, not, you had fun the first time, but have a little more fun and just try to collect stuff and do stuff. Because the thing is with these remakes, especially 2, 3, and 4, they have these ungodly trophies. I mean, you've done some of them, I know.
In 8, that's the one where I went insane, and the only trophies I don't have are the mercenary ones. And then other than that, I've done every trophy. Yeah. Except for, because I've only done the DLC ones, like the Shadows of Rose.
I've still never played the DLC.
But, like, they have the trophy where, like, complete it on hardcore, complete it in this amount of time. Which I might do eventually if I feel like platinuming it, but right now I'm sitting at like a 97 or something.
That's insane.
So I don't know, but as far as 4 goes, I don't know if I want to try to even get that close, just because the game is like so much longer.
So long. That's why I haven't started hardcore mode yet, because I'm like, damn, I just played that game twice. And, like, I've been, just busy with life, you know what I mean? Like, busy with life. It's like, damn, it took me 2 months to play the game twice. Like, do I really want to do a whole nother month? Like, I'm going to, but it's a lot. I mean, the games, I'm super slow when I play a Resident Evil game, especially the first time or two, because I'm trying to find everything. I'm trying to find every nook and cranny or little things they hid.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your time run on, like, the first time through?
The first time through, I can't remember. It had to be over, like, 20 hours or something like that.
Mine was real bad, though. Like, honestly, like, not bad. It's like, I didn't die. I mean, I did really good, barely died anything, but, like, I was, like, 27, 28 hours, because I was, like, stay in areas, and I was just trying to find anything, like.
But on my second playthrough, I was at maybe like 5.5 or 6, because I was trying to get that the speed run.
Well, you got me beat by quite a bit there, because I think I dropped maybe like 10 hours on the first or the second gameplay. But I told you again, I'm still actually trying to like
find
hunt,
everything.
and you know what I mean. I got a lot more stuff, but trophy wise, I think I'm like 55% or something.
My cat's going insane with a toy carrot right now. If you're hearing any strange noises,
spooky season. But like with the Resident Evil 3, I beat that game like 6 or 7 times because how short it was, like back to back.
Yeah.
Especially as it was during the pandemic and like not much was open, there wasn't shit to do. But I think I got like 71, 72%, and I don't even think I'm gonna go back and get any more than that. Like the games now, like they're like, I like count. I'm like, okay, basically the way the trophies are, you have to beat the game at least 5 times to get all the trophies, and that's like not fucking up on some of those.
Yeah.
If you actually like, it's too much. Like, I
especially when you get into the ones where it's like, oh, play the entire run through without talking to the merchants. I was like, okay, well, I need to have all the fucking insane weapons and shit purchased before that. Even like, because I noticed when I did the casual run through or whatever it's called, assisted, you can buy an infinite rocket launcher.
You can. It's 2 million.
Yeah.
I went through and added up how much each of my weapons would be to sell, and it was right around 2 million actually. But then I'm like, fuck, I have all the weapons upgraded, I have nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I will ever go ahead and do that because I don't want to lose. Like, I honestly have almost every gun in the game and have almost all the max exclusive upgrade.
Yeah.
Like, I've done that because I've literally got every, like, all
treasure,
the gold, all the things twice. So like, I'm almost completed every weapon that I can get, and I'm like, damn, do I want to lose all
your
of
hard
that?
work?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's just like, because I'm still going in there and I'm still like, I like a challenge. I don't know, like a little bit of a challenge, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, but it'd be fun. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean,
that'll help you get through that professional run.
That's the one thing. Now that they added an extra difficulty, because professional is still the hardest. Like when I did Resident Evil 3, I did assisted, standard, hardcore, and then I did nightmare, and then there's inferno. So there's 5 difficulties on Resident Evil 3. Did great on nightmare until the final nemesis form. I can't fucking beat it, and I was so mad. I played it in multiple. You basically can't misstep at all, or you're one-shotted. Like, you just have to do perfect, and I mean,
is because it's like, at what point does it stop being fun? And it's just like you're memorizing a pattern.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the game was challenging on Nightmare, but because I had upgraded weapons and because I was good, I've been playing the game, I did well. Like, I died a few times and I had struggles, but not like this. It was like real hard, but not like insane hard. Get to the final boss, and it was like, it's frustrating because I spent even on a short game, I spent all that time doing it and all this upgrade. I had to actually like give up, like just like.
You're like, I'm done.
Well, I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, I beat the game 6th. I'm on my 7th run. Like, I'm fucking, like, I just don't care. Like, I beat the game. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like with Resident Evil, it's like, do I need to fucking, now that they added hardcore, I was like, I will do one of the hard difficulties always. But like, to me, there's so many games out there, and I'm like, I just don't have the time to sit and, I'm not 20 years old, you know? I don't have the time to do this.
When I was playing Resident Evil 8 on like the hardest difficulty, when you're fighting Heisenberg in the mech form, I died so many fucking times to the point where I was like, I can't even do this anymore. Because just like, he just eats the bullets. Like, it's just like, and then again, it's like a couple missteps, and like, he still does an insane amount of damage to you.
Mm-hmm.
My wife beat it on like the first try.
Jeez.
I was just like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
You just went and broke the disc in half. You like the game, we're not playing anymore.
And she's like, oh no, because I never block, or I never play any defense in any of these games.
Oh,
That's
God.
my biggest problem.
Well, speaking of games, we wrap up maybe a little game thing here. I did go back. There were a few games over the past couple years that I didn't beat, that I stopped partway through because either, most likely, a big Resident Evil game came out and I just stopped because that's the only thing I'll do that for. I think, honestly, that's what happened. But
when a Resident Evil game comes out, Miles takes off work.
I do. I've taken off at least a day or two for every single Resident Evil release for the past 5 years, 6 years, which is hilarious, I know. But it's fun. But so right before Resident Evil 4 came out, I was playing Layers of Fear, the first one for PS4, which kind of ties in because now they it was Layer of Fear. Now they've released Layers of Fear on PS5. Like, I think they just released it out of nowhere, did the trailer, and came out a month later. Layer of Fear 2, and then there's DLC. The developers decided to remaster the games completely and do some like in between stories and combine it into one big game. Have you ever seen these games? You know what they're about?
No.
Basically, it's all first person exploration, and it's basically like an acid trip as the game goes on. The game fucks with you, like things aren't real. Let's see you turn around circles, the room's gone behind you, the room melts, things come at you. Like, it's basically but it elevates as the game goes on. It's very slow at first, and then about halfway through it just gets just progressively more insane. There is a story to each of them. I was 75% through when Resident Evil 4 came out, and I sacrificed and the first one stopped. So right after I beat Resident Evil 4, like literally the second time through, the next night I played Layer of Fear and finished it. So I did that, and then I went back and played Call of Cthulhu, which I was like 60 to 70% through, and then beat that week. So in like a week and a half ago, beat 3 games in a row in a week. Technically, even though I was partway through, but I was like, all right, good. I'm on all horror, mind you, but Call of Cthulhu was fun. I'm glad I went back. I looked at my trophies. I'm like, when did I play this game? It was like April of 2021. I was like, holy fuck. It's been a long time. I was like, when did 2 years go by that quick? Like, that I didn't play. But I will say, got a little too stoned when I played that game the last time I quit. And I got trapped in this spirit world fucking level. And let me tell you, when you're stoned out of your mind with a fucking lantern trying to find a way out, it doesn't work. I can see why I stopped. But anyways, so I've kind of been going through some of the titles now just to kind of pick up the pieces, because I don't know about you with games, but when I play them, like, I gotta finish them all the way through. I don't just stop games. Like, I gotta beat them.
I don't know. I got 2 hours into Zelda and I haven't picked it up since. I gotta get back on that.
I was gonna ask, but that was my next thing. How's Zelda going or whatever?
Emily's been playing it a ton. I got through like the tutorial and like the main kind of like introductory like temples and stuff like that. And then for whatever reason, I just haven't. Maybe it's because of the trip and just like other shit going on. But like I haven't played it since. And then I've already bought a couple games since then.
Oh really?
But I don't know. Nintendo's got a huge year this year. They're remaking all kinds of shit. Pikmin 4 is coming out this year, and I'm just like, Jesus. Fuck.
I feel like that game was announced like a zillion years ago.
Yeah.
But that'll be cool. I always wondered if I played one of those games once with someone, but when I was young, when the first one came out, I always like thought I might be interested in those. You know, if you get it, the fourth one, I want to watch you play it.
Oh no, I'm definitely getting Pikmin 4.
Oh, okay, all right.
You don't need to worry.
Oh,
Rest
okay.
assured, I'm getting Pikmin 4.
Okay. I did spoil myself the other day, but I've only got to play it for 2 hours. I got AEW Fight Forever.
Thank God.
And to be fair, like, okay, so I've only played Training and Expedition like one-on-one because I'm trying to get used to it.
I didn't even know the game was out yet, and you already have it.
It came out on Thursday. I bought it on Friday after work. It's for how long the development was and everything happened, it's better than I thought it was going to be. Like, actually, like, the game, the controls feel like good. It controls well.
Yeah.
But then again, I haven't played the last wrestling game I played was like WWE like 2016, and I didn't like it. Like, I think I ended up trading it in like 2 months, and then I knew there was a few years, and it was well known where the game sucked complete ass.
Yeah.
And like, I think 2020 was like broken completely. Like, the game didn't work.
They gave up. They did the like Battlegrounds thing, and then they redid.
Because they didn't do.
It was like
2021. Like, that was the first time they'd never done a game in a year. But I've heard 2022 and 2023 are actually great. Like, some of the best games they've ever done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just bought one wrestling game. Wrestling games are a weird thing. It's it's like you buy one every 5 years. Like, what do you really need? Do you need a new wrestling game every year? I mean, I don't know.
You don't get me started on this. I got in a big argument with one of my old roommates about why they need to buy a new fucking Madden game every year. I'm just like, Cat, like...
Well, especially, like, with wrestling, like, I could see, okay, so AEW Forever, like, they have certain specific, like, specialty matches, and WWE will put specialty matches, but when you're playing, like, a football game, it's like, can't you just download new rosters or things like that, you know? Like,
these companies don't want to do that, though. They want to make their money, so they're like, fuck, we're not going to do DLC. It's like, you got to buy a whole new fucking game.
That's why back when I worked at GameStop, in the back room, there were 500 copies of all the years of Madden, just...
that no one buys?
Fucking, like, used copies stacked to the ceiling, like, taped together in bundles of 10, because... they were never going to do anything with them. They were just
because after that, it's done.
They're worthless, yeah.
That's why you walk into a fucking exchange and it's like, all right, there's 100 copies of Madden 99 on N64, and that's all they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking horrible. I mean, what are you going to do? But anyways, I played it a little bit. I want to try to get used to the game. But I've had it. I spent an hour with it late Friday night, and I spent 1 hour last night. That's all the time I had to play it. So hoping this week to play that, but I probably won't buy any other. I usually only buy like 2 like brand new releases a year, like when it's the $60 game or whatever. Otherwise, I just wait because I always have something to play. You know, I mean, it's.
And one of them was AEW Fight for Hour.
Well,
that made the list.
The thing is, for me too, like I play mostly story games. It's nice to have something that I can just sit down and play for an hour.
Yeah.
Like I don't like when I was a kid, it was the Tony Hawk games or something like that. Like I just need, or even some of the wrestling games. Like I just need something that isn't like I need to sit down and be on this quest for hours. Like I just need like, oh, I played 2 matches. Like last night, I legit played 3 matches, and then I did a training thing where I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go to bed. Like it was like I wasn't over invested or anything like that, but it's pretty good. I don't know. I'm gonna play the story mode probably in like a week or something when I have some time, and we'll see how it plays. But anyways, nice little fun distraction. But I might put some Resident Evil in between there. But anyways, is there anything that you're looking forward to left from horror in 2023 for the next 6 months? I mean, I know we hinted at kind of things we were excited for in another podcast, like films are coming out. But is there like 1 or 2 like standout things you think you're looking forward to?
I don't even know what is really coming out the rest of this year. I mean, we talked about Insidious. There's an illustrious 10th film in a franchise that's coming out this October, which I'm excited to see.
It's true.
Other than that, I want to see Five Nights at Freddy's. I am intrigued.
I didn't watch the trailer.
I feel
yet.
like I need to watch. I feel like I have to do a show on it just because I know it's gonna get clicks. So like I guaranteed have to watch it and review it. Like
when does it
regardless,
come out?
It comes out the same day as Saw 10.
Jesus Christ.
They come out the same day because
this is what I'm talking about. Garbage.
That's why when you were having that conversation earlier, I was like internally laughing because I'm like, fuck, like this because they both come out like October 27th, and they're both at the end of the month. It's literally October like 27th or 28th that these come out. It's like, dude, why couldn't you do it at the beginning of the month or spread it out?
What's coming out the 20th? Like what's coming, or like what's coming out the week before? Like I don't know. It's just. It makes it hard for someone like me, even with the film pass. I'm like...
Because you can only do 1 a day.
well, a week, on an average week. Like, the most I've gone... I went 1 week, I went 3 times in a week, and it involved, like, I don't know, like it was like a Sunday, a Wednesday, a Saturday, or so, you know what I mean? Like, for me, and that's, like, I have to really fucking prioritize. Yeah. Like, going to God is a Bullet and Dial of Destiny back-to-back, I had to work my ass off for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday... or Monday, Tuesday,
so you had
stay
time.
over so that I could, and then plan out taking the dog, like, and doing things so I can make it to the theater. I mean, I can't even imagine if you have a family or if, this or that. I mean, it's, how the fuck do you make it to the theater to see this shit before it's out, I mean, it's...
And that's why I don't have kids yet.
There you go. Yeah, that's why. I gotta make it to the theater, man. I can't be having any fucking kids. But I will say one thing that's coming out that you talked about in the other one, Salem's Lot. Hopefully they'll give it, because it's been pushed back basically a year, but they did put the runtime on Letterboxd because I watched the original Salem's Lot last night. I'm worried. The runtime is just under 2 hours. That makes me.
Could they be doing
worried.
a part 1 and 2 though?
God, I hope, because it just seems.
I don't know. That kind of makes me worried, and it also just kind of the constant delays.
It's been delayed a year.
Make me worried because it's like, okay, is this just gonna go straight on fucking Peacock or something?
Yeah. And then of course we still have not gotten David Gordon Green's The Exorcist trailer yet. I'm kind of surprised. I really think. Oh, could that be before Insidious this week? That'd be a great drop. That would be a great drop.
I'll find out Friday night.
Okay.
That's all I know. I'll find out.
I'm excited to see whatever they're gonna do with The Exorcist. I'm excited to see Salem's Lot. 2 properties I absolutely love.
I want to see that Talk to Me film.
Oh, I want to see that. I was gonna say, yeah, actually, I thought about that before we did this podcast. It's getting some really, really good reviews from people I like. That comes out, I think, the end of July.
It does.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a big hit. I think it's gonna be a big, like, the big horror hit probably of the year. I think, like, especially original horror, you know.
Yeah, it's your typical A24. This is the scariest film you'll ever see.
Yeah. But to be fair, it does. The trailer hits. I mean, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But
some other random stuff. I mean, we'll see what the rest of this year holds. I mean, I talked about it on the last show, but the Last Voyage of the Demeter. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be headbanging on the way to the theater.
I think that's. I was thinking about that too on the way here. I was trying to think of things. It's like when you're in the middle of the podcast, like, what was that? Yeah, I can't remember what, but yeah, and that comes out in August, right?
I think that's like August 11th or something.
Yeah. So, I think it's going to be a great rest of the year for horror in general. I think there's going to be some really good gems. There's a bunch of games that have been, like, announced. Unfortunately, I don't have a PS5 yet, nor do I even have the fucking time to play the games I have. But, like, you know, eventually all the Silent Hill games that were announced earlier this year, there's like multiple, you know, they had no Silent Hill games for 8-9 years. Now they're like, oh, we actually have 5 in development. It's like, okay. You know, and the original director and writing team for the first film is coming back and doing Return of the Silent Hill. The film is based on the second game, so I think that's going to be incredible, honestly. I think that's not probably coming out until end of 2024 or even later than that. So, I mean, that's a ways off. I mean,
who even knows with this fucking, like, writer strike and shit, like, how much more shit's going to get delayed. Which is, like, it's surprising me how... I mean, we talked about this already, but, like, how they're pumping stuff out so quick.
Just thinking the same
Because it's like, well, fuck, if you're not going to have new releases again, like, why aren't you spreading this out more?
Dylan tried to argue me somehow because I brought the exact same talking point about something. He's like, oh, it's more technical than that and this and that and the marketing and all this. And I'm like, yeah, but if you release 250 fucking films or more, like, in 2023 in theaters alone, and then you only have, let's say the studios only have fucking 5 films from per major studio left to fall into 2024. What do you do? Yeah. Like, you could have saved, or even the indie ones, like even some of these ones that Lionsgate is just pumping out, some of the action films and stuff. Some of those that had like Gerard Butler or like the Guy Ritchie one with Jake Gyllenhaal, which I want to see. You could have saved those till the end of the year, beginning of January, and it's a big enough stars. Those things would have made a fuck ton of money when nothing else was in theaters.
Right.
Instead, they made fucking $25 million. No one's going to remember them in a year. You know, I mean, regardless of all the logistics of it, I'm glad you brought that up because it doesn't fucking make sense. They're putting all these films in theaters.
Well, no, because like I ran into one of my buddies the other day, and I was like, "Oh, are you still working on stuff?" And he's like, "Well, not now." It's like literally actually having like ramifications. So there is shit there is going to be a gap where we're not going to have good new releases. Like, I'm sure they have some stuff in the wings and they're like, fuck it, we'll just put it in theaters. But like,
I don't understand. Like even looking on Box Office Mojo, I had this argument. There were 39 films in theaters across America at one point. I mean, independent and other things like that. Why? Nobody can. I mean, I realized that 15 of those were very limited release, like God is a Bullet, or other things like this. But why? You know, I don't understand. Yeah. No one can go see them, and they're just gonna get lost. But anyways, that's my 2023 rant. But lot to look forward to still this year, including podcasts here with us.
Yes, lots of stuff to look forward to as we continue this summer and get deeper into the Halloween season, which has officially started. So with that, we'll be signing off for the show, probably for the next few weeks. We're going to have some more buffer episodes to get us through till October, when it's going to be full speed ahead. Millions of shows coming out all over. So, exciting stuff. Miles, thank you for coming on the show, as always.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. It's fun. I always enjoy myself.
And with that, we'll see you next time.
You gonna stay spooky, or am I gonna say it?
Well, I say it in the outro. I record the outros after this, but you can say it now.
That's true.
Because you're not going to be in the outro, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, Midnight Miles wants you to stay spooky for once, so we'll see you next time, kids.
That's about it for this time, you guys. I hope you enjoyed my discussion with Midnight Miles. Again, if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to my channel wherever you're listening to the show. And with that, I will see you guys back here again very soon for another episode of Buddy's House of Horror. So take care and stay spooky.